What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Funky Fridays. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for joining me here. Alrighty, so for this week, I thought I'd talk about this classic album, and of course it goes by Platinum Blonde. Oh, fuck's sakes. I'll be right back. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Funky Friday. This is episode 25. I'm your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for joining me here. Alrighty, so today we're going to talk about one of my favorite early 90s albums, classic album in my opinion. I mean, people might beg to differ on this, but I mean, it's a personal classic of mine. Always been drawn to this album for some reason. I mean, it's the time when it came out. The content was just so fucking angry. You know, I was like 12 years old when it came out, and it was just perfect for me. But I am talking about the Lenchmob-Guerillas in the Mist. This is a fantastic album. Like I said, it came out in 1992. Fully produced by Ice Cube, so it has that just rugged fucking production style that Cube was doing in the early 90s. Really great samples. Of course, the group is made up of JD, Shorty, and T-Bone. JD actually ended up going to jail right after this album came out. He was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, so he was replaced on the next album. But anyways, getting into the album, this is your very kind of typical early 90s, really angry black album. This is not really an album that a lot of, it's interesting that a lot of white kids were listening to this shit, because it's pro-black, it's about bettering, African Americans in the United States, and it's a very political-driven album, political-driven gangster album. I mean, these guys talking from the streets, and they're just talking about, from their perspective, and basically saying fuck the system and fuck the white man. I do understand where they're coming from. I mean, in the early 90s, you had the riots, and you had a lot of race problems, and it was a rough time, so this album was really relevant back then. Maybe not so much anymore. I know racism obviously still exists in the United States, and of course in Canada and stuff too, but I mean, it's not as bad as it was, 21 years ago when this album came out, so times have changed, but still listening to this album today, it's just a perfect throwback, a perfect, it just kind of brings me right back to that era, and the songs, like, totally just, bring everything out of that era. First song on the album, Buck the Devil, obviously saying fuck the white man, really. It's just very typical kind of stuff, but they do get their point across quite well. Lost in the System, about, the black man just being lost in the system and just totally being overshadowed by the white person and stuff. Your typical kind of content for an album like this, but I think it really does work. You and Your Heroes is an interesting track on this album. It always made me laugh because they are just slandering the shit out of white heroes in this album. Like, everybody from saying fuck John Wayne to Madonna to fucking everybody on that track, man. They just fuck your heroes, man. There's a line in this song that I always remember. Babe Ruth was good, but he couldn't hit a nigga like Doc Gooden. Now, it's an interesting line because I love Babe Ruth. Doc Gooden was a great picture, but who knows? Different eras, right? I don't know. I always thought that line was interesting. But yeah, You and Your Heroes is one song on this album that always stuck out because it's just so racially motivated, and it's crazy. All in My Nutsack, again, same type of content. Guerillas in the Mist, they actually have a video for that song. And of course that video was actually banned from pretty much every video station out there because it's, you know, it's showing street shit. I've seen the video before, I don't actually remember too well, but I know it showed a lot of riot stuff and just shit that, you know, no black group, no politically motivated group could actually get away with those days, because when you speak your mind in America in these days, you know, they put the kibosh on that. Ain't Got No Class got Be Real in that song, fucking amazing track. Freedom got an 8K. I've always loved that track because Freedom as an 8K is kind of self-explanatory. Ankle Blues is a really, really dope track that Ice Cube produced on this record, man. I really love the beat in that song. It's a little slower, but, you know, they kind of get their point across, you know, going to jail and getting jacked and stuff. Who You Gonna Shoot With That is another really awesome produced track by Ice Cube. And Lord Have Mercy on this record, one of the last songs on the album, I think it's just one of the fucking dopest Cube beats, man. It's so sick, man. But yeah, so overall this album is, you know, your politically motivated, you know, Nation of Islam lyric kind of deal. I've always been a really, really big fan of this. I know a lot of people aren't really that big into like political hip-hop and stuff, but, you know, before there was like Immortal Techniques and, you know, some of the newer political rappers out there, you know, it started with, you know, Public Enemy and, you know, and the Lenchmob kind of took it to a different level. They kind of put the darker side of the political issues in America, and I always respected that, you know. I didn't really look at it as like, you know, they were telling me to fuck off while I was listening to the record. I just kind of took it for what it was, and I understand where they're coming from, you know. I mean, obviously I don't fully understand. I'm black, living in America, being, you know, racially profiled and stuff, but, you know, I can understand the lyrics. I mean, I understand it, so... you know, overall, it's a fantastic record. I mean, if you're into this type of stuff, definitely check this one out. I mean, I'm sure most people watching this video right now have actually heard this album. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but I personally think it's a fantastic record. You know, it's a shame that, JD went to jail. He was later replaced by, Melky from Yomo and Melky from Ruthless Records, actually, for the second album, which isn't as good as this album, but I think it's actually really good, so, but, you know, whatever. But I think one of the standout points of this record is Ice Cube's production. Just fantastic production on this record. You know, Ice Cube, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated producers. He never gets really credit for being a producer because, you know, obviously his MC skills and his presence on the mic is just so overpowering, but you know, and him being such a good writer. But, you know, he's produced a lot of really good stuff that he just doesn't get credit for, so... But yeah, what else can I say about this one? I mean, I think it's a classic record. I mean, it's a personal classic of mine. It's one of those records I always used to throw on growing up when I was really angry, because it just always kind of put me in a better mood. And there was a lot of times in high school when I was really pissed off, so I was always bumping Gorillas in the Mist in my Walkman, because I still actually have the tape of this, but yeah, I'm blabbling on here. So, Funky Fridays, episode 25. I don't know what else to say about this album, but if you've never heard this, definitely check it out at least, you know. You know, maybe do yourself a favor and check it out, but... Anyways, episode 25, I'll try to be back next week with another episode. I just try to change up things. I've been doing, like, a lot of East Coast, you know, albums and stuff like that. So I thought I'd change it up with a totally different, you know, genre of hip-hop, so... Anyways, hope you enjoyed the episode. Mood616 signing off. Thanks you for watching and subscribing. Peace out, homies.